All right, there's a part 1 video online. Let's continue with the thought process. Let me just say this. In this Andy Ruiz-Luis Ortiz fight, as I've said in other videos about Andy Ruiz has a secret, right? This is really a public secret. If you've looked at his fights, you see it. But I'm just telling you, a lot of people in boxing haven't looked at his fights. So, Anthony Joshua was looking for an opponent. He approached a few people, including Adam Konatsky. Right now, Konatsky, a guy who I picked in his last fight. I'm a Konatsky fan. I believe his volume is breathtaking. The guy throws a high percentage of power shots. Right? I believe the guy's timing is going to throw off a lot of people. But you're kidding yourself if you feel that Adam Konatsky has anything close, I mean anything close, to the hand speed of Andy Ruiz, to the explosive combinations of Andy Ruiz. Now, the Joshua people weren't in on the secret. So understand what happened. Konatsky, in one of the weirdest moments I can think of in recent heavyweight history, right? Here's a professional heavyweight being offered an opportunity to fight for the heavyweight championship. Right? As I see the world, the answer should have been, pay me market and I'll take the fight. Right? Konatsky passed on the fight. You would have thought that the person who wanted to fight him was Prime Ali, or Prime Joe Louis, or Prime Lennox Lewis, or Prime Mike Tyson. Right? No, the person was Anthony Joshua. Incredibly, Konatsky turned down the fight. Right? He'll be thinking about that the rest of his life. He gave a reason. He said he didn't feel that he was ready for the fight. So, they then pivoted, right? Let me point out, too, that the future is not guaranteed to anyone. You have to go with the opportunity. So the Joshua people pivoted, and they picked Andy Ruiz. That was a big mistake, because Andy's secret is that he has the fastest hands in the heavyweight division, and that he makes fast adjustments. Some guys can have fast hands with predetermined combinations. Alexander Povetkin can jump in the pocket and he knows he's going to throw a left hand, then a right hand, then a left hook, and then he's going to back out. That's not Andy Ruiz. Ruiz is not an ambush fighter. Ruiz wants a pocket. Ruiz is the one who wants to be invited to dinner, and then he wants to eat dinner and then dessert and hang out for drinks afterwards. Right? Andy, if he's in a combination, and I believe Andy comes in thinking, let me throw 3 punches and see what happens. If Andy starts a combination and then your defense slips, right? Andy hits you in the ribs, so you move a hand down. Andy is so fast-handed and so quick-thinking that Andy will then change the combination to hit you in the head where you've just dropped your hand. He fought Alexander Dmytrenko. Folks, the hand speed is simply breathtaking. So the Joshua people made a big mistake. Big mistake. Fighting Andy Ruiz. The mistake was compounded by the fact that Joshua lands, I believe it's a left hook that drops Ruiz. So when Ruiz got off the canvas, Joshua then did the wrong thing against this opponent. He jumped deep in the pocket against Andy Ruiz. Folks, I'm just telling you, for your chances of winning a fight, decision-making like that can be fatal. Right? So AJ, how do you put it, found himself getting hit with power shots, punches in bunches. Andy moving both hands. He's so fast-handed, he doesn't even have to worry about you clinching him. His hands are in the way. You're getting battered. He knows how to move his body just enough where he isn't exactly where you think he's going to be. Right? This is a rare talent. Now, the problem with Andy, and it is a problem, is Andy doesn't have the rhythm to offset his slow foot speed. Right? Fighters who have rhythm, Golovkin against Kell Brook, will know how to run up to you. In other words, okay, you can't match Kell Brook in foot speed. But if Kell Brook is 4 feet away, you need to find a way to run over there. Right? You can't take your time like Jose Benavidez Jr. did against Danny Garcia. Right? When you're in against a guy who's trying to stay away from you, who doesn't want a pocket to form, who's backing up. Joseph Parker. Understand, Ruiz has only lost to 2 men. Joseph Parker, who backed away from the pocket. Anthony Joshua in the rematch, who's on his bike, backing away from the pocket. Right? If opponents are trying to stay away from you, you need to find a way to close the gap. You need to find a way to run up on them. I mean literally, run up on them. You can't saunter over there. Andy, you're on tape. The stakes are high now. People are looking at your fights. They see your hand speed deep in the pocket. They're going to stay away from you. You can't saunter over thinking, hey, nobody knows who I am. I look like a pudgy guy. No one knows I'm actually an athlete. Right? So just understand, Andy has only lost to 2 men. If he can correct the foot speed problem, I would take my chances taking Andy against Joshua in a 3rd fight. I believe Andy is in on the heavyweight division secret. Fury is in his 30s. Fury is unbeaten as I make this video. Right? He might be leaving the stage soon. If Joshua loses to Usyk, if he loses badly to Usyk, and that's a distinct possibility. I'm hearing that Joshua is going to be mean in the early rounds. He's going to come out. I think when Joshua is kind, his stamina is questionable. His defense is questionable. Right? There's a chance that angry, unkind Anthony Joshua gets winded by the 4th round. Right? If Usyk decides to make his name at heavyweight and stops Joshua like he did on British soil, Tony Bellew. And by the way, this fight's not even on British soil. Right? Joshua might decide, I have enough money in the bank to walk away from the sport. Right? I believe Fury, Joshua, they walk away. You're talking about a wide open dynamic. Right? Usyk himself, who's older than Joshua, I believe he's older than Fury, might decide, hey, I made my point. Right? I was undisputed at cruiser. If the powers that be in boxing are silly enough not to line things up for me in the heavyweight division, where I can have a clear path against credible opposition to unify at heavy, if I have to be chasing guys and hoping to be in a position to unify, I might just walk away from the sport. So understand, Ruiz is motivated. He's already been heavyweight champ once. He knows how intoxicating that is. He feels he has a chance to get back there. Again, he's lost to 2 guys. Both guys have held the title. Right? Parker, Joshua. Understand that 43-year-old Luis Ortiz, who's a southpaw like Usyk, has only lost to 1 man, Deontay Wilder, twice. Understand, Ortiz has a secret. He's not just a slick southpaw. He is actually a knockout puncher. Folks, he's 33-2. Only 5 guys in his entire career have gone the distance against him, right, in his wins. He has 28 stoppages. He knocks down former heavyweight champion Charles Martin twice in his last fight. Twice. Now, troublingly, let's analyze this the right way. He himself gets knocked down twice. We all know an older fighter might look young, right? But coordination is one of those things that go. Right? Ortiz is getting hit with shots now, and not just from Deontay Wilder. Right? So, I expect there to be a learning curve for Andy Ruiz. He's fighting a slick southpaw. He doesn't have the ring coverage of a Deontay Wilder. He can't stay across the street, throw some punches, and then move away from Luis Ortiz. Ortiz is going to be closer to Andy Ruiz. Right? That's going to have risks for both men. Since Ortiz has dealt with righties more than Ruiz has dealt with lefties, Andy might spend a few rounds trying to get the lay of the land. Right? He's fighting a southpaw in part because Usyk's a southpaw. Right? Now the casino is ripping you off. I believe Andy wins the fight, but I don't like the odds. The casino has Andy as a minus 310 favorite. They're telling you that if these guys fought 4 times, Andy would win 3.1 of the 4. I'm not buying it. I believe you have to get creative here. So, let me admit something. I've been waiting. This video is a little late. I've been waiting for casinos to issue an over-under for the fight. They haven't yet, at least not the casinos I've hit. So we're going to have to be creative. I'm going to assume that the over-under number is going to be about 8 rounds. Why? Because both of these guys have more than 20 KOs each. Right? So, the bet I'm recommending, because I believe the casino's ripping you off on the Ruiz side and the fight is mispriced, the bet I'm recommending is to take Luis Ortiz simply to win at a plus 260. Folks, that's more than 2.5 to 1. Right? This is, bet $4, they give you back more than $10, plus the $4 you bet. Right? Take Luis Ortiz simply to win, hedged with the over. Let's say the over's 8 rounds. Right? Take the over and then buy rounds. Buy Andy Ruiz in the 7th round and the 6th round. You want Andy from the start of the 6th round on. But understand the risk involved. If Andy Ruiz comes in and roughs up Luis Ortiz and gets a stoppage in the first 5 rounds of this fight, you lose it all. Right? I don't see that happening. Ruiz got a little reckless against Chris Arreola. Got dropped in the 2nd round. Here he's fighting a cagey guy with punching power who's a southpaw. I believe Andy's going to be cautious on the front end. I believe Luis Ortiz hits harder than Andy. I believe Ortiz himself is going to stay away. He doesn't want to deal with a combination puncher throwing combinations with the hand speed of Andy Ruiz. So I'm hoping this fight is a little slow in getting started. Also, Luis Ortiz himself was reckless early, got knocked down in the very early rounds by Charles Martin. So I'm hoping both of these fighters have learned from the past. Start a little bit slower, right? If Ortiz goes hunting and stops Andy, okay, fine. I got the plus 260 on Ruiz for every second that this fight goes. Right? But I'm hoping on the Andy Ruiz side, Andy bides his time like he did the first 2 rounds of the first Joshua fight. Right? I'm hoping Andy bides his time. Right? And then I'm hoping Ortiz's southpaw stance gives him more pause. Right? But again, I need for you to understand the risk involved. If you take the over, and if you buy rounds so you have Andy Ruiz from the start of the 6th round, you lose it all if he closes it out during the first 5 rounds. I believe both of these men are dangerous. Let me also say, too, when you couple Andy Ruiz's hand speed with 43-year-old reflexes, I believe Luis Ortiz realizes he needs to close the show here early. He doesn't want his age to start showing in the later rounds. Understand, too, let's revisit the 2 Wilder losses. In both fights, Ortiz looks great in the early rounds, right? Only to get caught, I believe, in the 10th round of one fight and the 6th or 7th round of the second fight. Right? Against hand speed like this, Ortiz can't bank on a judge's decision. Right? Ortiz doesn't move as well on his back foot as, let's say, a Joseph Parker. Right? So I'm expecting action. I think the fight is mispriced. I do believe Ortiz has a chance to win by stoppage. So I like Ortiz plus 260. Hedged with the over. I'm going to buy a few rounds to Andy Ruiz down to the start of the 6th round. That's how I see the fight. Let me hear from you. I hope you leave your comments in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.